welcome to another episode of Live with the Glitter Practitioner. That is me, Dr. Nupi. Thank you so much for joining me today, and do let me know in comments where you're tuning in from, because I love afterwards to say hi and chit chat and just thank you for coming and for joining me today. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a general practitioner, a family physician in the UK. I'm also a spiritual and transformation life coach. I'm also a speaker, soon to be published author. And at the heart of everything I do really is I love people, basically. I love connecting with people, and I am absolutely passionate about showing and sharing with others, really empowering somebody else to understand their health needs, not just physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, all of these combined, which is the whole person. And that's what I say, that's what I love sharing. It's how to recognize these needs, how to keep them topped up, how to keep them balanced. Because when that is in flow, you yourself, you become aligned with yourself, with your passions, your purpose, your values, and that is when you become limitless in your potential. I'm living proof of this. It's a work in progress, obviously, but step by step, you really truly can choose to create the life you deserve. And that is why my tagline is, be you with bells on, you deserve nothing less. And I think the best way to really show you how to do this and what, being F-listed is all about, which is the framework I created post-burnout, that's how I share this. It's through my brand story, which was created by the insanely talented Devin James Stinson. And he has managed to capture the essence of what it feels like through his words, through the music, through the visuals of finding yourself again, essentially. So, Mr. Wonderful Producer and Honorary Big Brother, may we have the brand story, please?
Follow the light through the storm. And this is not a light that warns, it's a light that forms on the pathway ahead. So you can maneuver around disaster instead of getting stopped by the obstacles. It just takes changing the obstacles. And then the impossible turns to possible. And then the storm lifts. You're no longer adrift. Breathe, focus, you've got this. Ahead you see a figure, a kind soul, and on the inside it feels like you might glow. Your endless cycles of cyclones have been turned to a breeze that just slightly blows. You're adorned with glitter, where you literally feel like a kid again. And this is when you realize how much of your life you've missed. And then you talk more with Dr. Nupi Aurora, who will holistically change your aura, where you and the new you won't be like strangers. No, you'll be like friends. Because this whole process is simply life-changing. So if you're feeling frazzled and you want to find your fizz and dazzle, then book a call with Dr. Nupi Aurora by messaging her right here on LinkedIn.
Oh, I've gone all dreamy and just, I love it. Absolutely love that. It's very soothing. I could listen to that on loop, which, I kind of do. Okay, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is somebody who is just incredible. And I met him quite early on in my journey coming onto LinkedIn. Without further ado, I am going to bring Mr. David Hansen on. Hi.
Nupi. Hi, everybody who's tuning in.
Oh, David, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well,
I'm so excited to have you on as a guest, seriously.
well, thanks for having me on your show, and thanks for everybody who's attending today. I have loved meeting you, and I've loved our conversations together. We've had some Zoom calls together. I have the free 40-minute plan, and I can't tell you how many times we've gone another 40 minutes and another 40 minutes and another 40 minutes because we just get engrossed in our conversations with each other.
I know.
And
Oh,
every one of our conversations has really been kind of divinely inspired, at least from my end, because
ditto.
very often God acts in our lives through other people, and each time we've had a conversation, you've said something that was just what I needed to hear in that moment, and so I've just loved our conversations on that level as well.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. Ditto back, seriously. And I love that whole aspect of that synchronicity, and when you see and you're aware that this might mean this, and just following the signs, and oh, it's incredible. And before we go into juicy stuff, tell everybody a little bit, just a titchy bit about yourself, who you are. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm right now, I'm kind of fulfilling a dream of my own. I'm starting my own venture. It's called ZENZOOM Transformation. And it's all about changing your life from the inside out. And that's what real transformation is. We can change our physical appearance, we can change our clothes, we can change external things, but real meaningful change is always from the inside out. And so I am starting my own venture for the first time. It's a total learning curve for me. I've always worked for somebody else, and so it's a whole experience starting my own venture. And but it's been an exciting process, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to fulfill something that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind that I wanted to do, but I guess I didn't feel like I was up to it, or that I was enough to be doing it. So my background, actually, my degree is in counseling and psychology, but I was always more interested in what is now called positive psychology, where I was less interested in treating depression and substance abuse and various issues. And I was more interested in using psychology in a positive, proactive way, using psychology to be happier and more fulfilled in life. And at least at where I went to school, that wasn't even taught, because in psychology, they need to get compensation from insurance. And so there's a medical model approach to psychology where it's all about treating disorders so that they can be compensated. Insurance isn't going to pay for us to be happy and fulfilled in life. And so it wasn't even really taught, but that has always been my heart's desire, is to use psychology in a positive way to lead a happier, more fulfilling life. But after I got my degree, I kind of got into the business side of psychology, and but I ended up on this winding path of being in kind of a hybrid of sales and counseling. I still used a lot of my counseling skills in my approach to sales. It was really more like consulting with people. And so I worked for a program for troubled youth where they went out into the wilderness and had therapy.
Wow.
And And then I got into admissions into a design college, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, and I was counseling with students and helping them plan their careers and what is the right major for them. And so there was a counseling aspect to it, but it was also getting them enrolled in the design college. And it was largely about fashion, but there was also an interior design track. And I was always a little bit jealous of the interior design students because whenever I would move to a new place, I would obsess about how I was going to design my next place. And so anyway, I randomly ran across this ad, and I ended up working for this home furnishings company. And it was an opportunity to get into interior design. And it was, so it was home furnishing sales and interior design consulting, but always, again, using my listening skills to uncover their style. I was never comfortable imposing my design style on other people. I wanted them to express themselves. And throughout my life, I've also been very spiritually oriented. And when I was younger, I was also religious, but I no longer subscribe to any organized religion. I now consider myself to be spiritual, but not religious. And one thing that really put the accelerator on my spiritual growth was when I started meditating consistently in 2018. And that just changed everything for me. And that's when that inner transformation started to happen for me. And so I started becoming having this voracious interest in spiritual material and personal growth material. And I just couldn't get enough of it. And I was really getting excited about that. And I started to fantasize about going back to my original vision of coaching people and helping them transform their lives. As I was experiencing what I was going through, I found that I was loving myself more, and I also was loving other people more. And it filled me with this desire to help other people on their spiritual journeys. For most people, spiritual transformation or spiritual awakening, the catalyst for that is usually some extreme hardship in life. And it can come in all kinds of forms. It might be the breakdown of a really significant relationship, or in my case, usually the extreme hardship is the kickoff for the spiritual awakening. In my case, I was already going through that process when I got hit with my, what would be called in tarot, a tower moment, where everything came crashing down. And it was when the pandemic hit, and I was laid off from my job myself, and several other people, long-term employees at my company, were laid off from our jobs in favor of newer, cheaper employees. And it came as kind of a shock, because I was always a top performer every year and by every measure. And I'd been with my company such a long time. I had been with my company almost 18 years. And so all of a sudden I was just thrown into the unknown, and my entire life was just thrown into limbo. And thank goodness I was far enough along in my spiritual awakening process that I sensed that this could be a blessing in disguise. And it's been extraordinarily difficult. It's been not an easy road, but so fulfilling. And through this long and winding road, I've met people like you on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have gotten onto LinkedIn if I wouldn't have lost my job. And I got onto LinkedIn to start looking for work.
Blimey. I remember when you told me this, and you're so right about these moments it's often the crappiest, the shittiest of shit that eventually you find the light is allowed to come back in. And that's how I also have always described my burnout. It was the most painful, hideous experience. I felt broken, but it was from being broken that actually allowed lights to come back in, and actually for me to really take stock. And without that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and sharing what I share. But gosh, it was so, I'm think all this incredible stuff that, you know, the meditating, the consistency of the practice. Absolutely. I was writing notes as you were talking, actually, because I was like, I must revisit this bit. Oh, I must come back to this bit. So was it through the pandemic that's when you discovered that you were already on that journey of meditating regularly, consistently? That's what helped you. So going back, can you see when that started what brought you to meditation, for example? And the reason I'm asking is because it's only now when I look back, the crash and burn happened, but I can see where I was ignoring certain things in myself, and I was oblivious, to be honest. I'm just curious as to if you had something similar.
I did, and meditation was a big part of that. One of the meanings of the word meditation is to become familiar with, as in becoming familiar with ourselves. And that's part of what meditation has done for me. I have, like I said before, I've always been spiritually oriented since I was a teenager. And so my friends know that about me. And one of my friends sent me a link to a free meditation course. It was a 21-day meditation course through Oprah and Deepak Chopra. And that got me going in a consistent meditation practice. And I've just, it's really transformed my life. When you think of it, prayer is us talking to God, and meditation is us listening to God.
Yeah.
And there's great value in becoming familiar with ourselves in meditation. Part of it is observing your thoughts and becoming aware of your body sensations. And that's what you were just describing just minutes ago, is tuning into ourselves. And most importantly, there's all kinds of what I think of as secondary benefits to meditation. But what I value the most is the spiritual aspect of meditation. That's, for me, what is most transformative. Tuning into spirit, God, the universe, whatever term you like to use. I'm leaning more towards using the term spirit now, but I use those words interchangeably. But tuning into spirit and tuning into our higher self and awakening to our spiritual nature.
Yes.
And the greatest part of our spiritual nature is love.
Yes.
Which was how I started to love myself more and feel greater love and compassion for other people.
Absolutely. And that is the key. And there's science in this as well. It is scientifically, everything is evidence-based, and it's key to mindfulness practice, of which meditation is an avenue. Mindfulness is all about being in the present moment. And meditation is something you can use to really harness that. And that is the key. When you start unlocking the whole, when you're here, when you're present and you're aligned with yourself, with your needs, that's when you can really start connecting and become more aligned with other people, the world around you. And that is where I call it the secret superpower. actually, because when you're in that space, all of a sudden you can still access parts. You're hearing better, you're tuning in better, you can make better choices, better decisions, and that is the whole point. And it's the breath work, it's everything, it's the F list essentially as well. But oh my gosh, I'm being very good today. I'm keeping an eye on the time, and I'm like literally thinking, I know, oh my goodness me, we need to have like not even just a part 2, we need like a part 3, 4 to 20. We need a regular Jim
It's
jam
like your
with
Zoom
this.
calls. We're going to just keep doing more and more and more. Yeah.
I know. I tell you what, though, your voice, I'm like literally I'm sat here listening to you going, I could just listen to you speak. You've got such a very soothing voice. You really do. Have you done any like meditation? Do you lead any meditation groups? Do you have anything like that? Because if you don't, I really think you should.
Yeah, it's interesting that you should say that. There's all kinds of forms of meditation, and I want part of what ZenZoom transformation is learning to meditate. That's a huge integral part of spiritual transformation. I can't imagine spiritual transformation without meditation. Yeah. It's a huge part of it. So I do want to teach people meditation. But the funny thing is, I am not a big fan of guided meditations for the most part.
Really?
Sometimes I enjoy them. Kind of, it's like dancing. You know, there's all forms of dancing. There's not just ballet. There's all forms of dancing, and meditation is kind of like that too. There's various approaches to dancing, to meditation. And so,
do you know what I was just thinking there? Sorry to interrupt you. I can't help it. I was literally thinking, I started swaying like this, and I'm thinking, yes, like my interpretive dance to the brand story is what I was thinking. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it when you do your gestures during your brand story. You have this whole routine that you do with it, and I love that. Yeah, it's adorable.
I love it. I love doing it, and I'm thinking, oh yeah. Sometimes the video hasn't worked. I don't know why. And actually, I'm still acting the whole thing out, even though the screen, because I know what. I digress. Sorry, but yes, there are lots of different forms of dance. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, there's lots of different forms of meditation, and so I do want to teach people to meditate, but I personally, for the most part, I don't like somebody talking to me when I'm meditating. For me, I like to meditate either in silence or to music with no vocals, just pure music.
Wow.
Yeah, so mostly I like to meditate in silence. I think for me, that's the most effective. And one of the things that is also super beneficial about meditation is that we get attuned to our intuition, which is our
big time
best guide in life, because it comes from divine source. And so through our intuition, we, just as you were talking about a little while ago, we make better decisions in life because we get tuned into our intuition, and we're able to pick up on people's vibes so much better. And it's also how we start to tune into those signs and synchronicities. And like I said before, when you and I have had conversations, you've said things that were just what I needed to hear in that moment. And the reason I recognized it was because I was tuned into my intuition. My intuition would say, you would probably call it fizzessence.
Yes. Fizz tingles. Yes, you're so right. It's the fizz tingles that start happening. And exactly that. Yes. And I get really excited. That's the fizzessence. And I get all fizz pop because I love that when that's happening. It's a surefire sign that, on the right track. Or I might see the robins because I'm looking out onto our garden, and every now and then I just see something and I'm like, oh, I just see a robin. Oh, I'm on the right track. Brilliant stuff. And it's that just, I love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm getting some signs from. I'm actually. Sorry. That sounds really weird because I'm just like laughing to myself. I'm getting signs from somebody in the green room in the producing side saying, time to wrap.
Yeah, Russ is prompting you, is keeping you on track today with the time.
Oh, how funny. Oh, dear me. Oh, well, I thought that was funny anyway. Oh, David, honestly, we need to do, I'm just going to have you back on again because I think we have literally just scratched the
We
surface.
did. Yeah, the time has totally
It's just float. It's just like, wow, where did that go? We need to have longer. Okay. David, all your contact details are going to be here, courtesy of amazing Russ, and who is also my sponsor. I forget sometimes to say that, and my big brother, and my amazing producer. Tell everybody perhaps one thing that you want people to take away from today, from yourself.
Well, I think definitely if you're not practicing meditation, definitely to practice meditation, and also practice gratitude. I think gratitude is transformative. We could do a whole episode on gratitude alone. Gratitude is also a huge transformative aspect of your life. So if you do no other things, I think meditation and gratitude, I would highly recommend that. And I just want to thank you for having me on your show. I love our conversations together, and thank you to everybody here who's listening in to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I am absolutely, I can feel it. You can probably feel it through the energy of across the states that,
oh yes,
my heart is literally exploding right now with love, and just I'm glitterifying you and everybody else who's watching. Thank you so much for coming on, and you've given me some ideas actually for the part 2, 3, and 4. So I will chat with you in the green room shortly. Don't go anywhere. I'll come and join you in the green room.
Thanks, Snoopy.
Oh gosh, I feel really emotional. I think that's just the connection and the love. And as David's saying, when you hold yourself with love, true love, which is unconditional love for self, and it's that self-care, it's self-love, which is the same vibrational frequency as unconditional love. That's the glitter, and that is this beautiful feeling, which I'm literally, my heart is going to explode right now. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think David is incredible, and if you haven't connected with him, read his work. He has such a talent for the way he writes. It's beautiful. And we are both part of the #SuperFreaks. I forgot to say that bit earlier. Thank you for joining me. You will always find me here on LinkedIn every Monday at 8 o'clock GMT, which is 12 noon Pacific Standard. Oh, I missed the wink. 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. And can't wait to have my next guest on for next week. But thank you for joining me, and I shall see you again next week. Bye.